My name is Allie, and my little ADHD, autism, CPTSD, brain injury, addicted mind, all those things today are trying to eat me alive. I want to hide it. I want to act like I'm fine, and I'm not. I'm not. The amount that it takes for me to sit down and just make a YouTube video, it's insane. Like, if you could see me before I do this, it, like, the fact that I'm even alive is incredible to me. I don't understand how it's possible. Just wanted to be honest that I'm really struggling today. And that's what my whole channel is about, is I don't want people to feel alone. Life is hard, and most of all of life, I need my heating pad. Most of, I have these heating pads that are like my favorite sensory thing. They're just made of rice, but you put them in the microwave and they help me a lot. These ones are huge. Everyone is so fake, right? Like, everyone acts like they have their life together while they're secretly not doing great. Like, everyone's scared, no one knows what they're doing, and a lot of people are just good at pretending like they are. And I do believe that a lot of people have less tortured brains than those of us that do. Like, I just live a tortured existence, and it's not a joke, and it's really hard. And I want this to be a channel for people who are tortured, not people who've figured it out, because no one has. But I just want to be honest in that I feel tortured all the time, and that just sitting down and doing these little YouTube videos, it's if you have executive dysfunction, if you have a performance disorder, if you are autistic, if you struggle to get things done in the real world, if you live in a permanent state of not being able to organize yourself across space and time, or not being able to grab time, not being able to schedule things, I just wanted to say that you are not alone. You are so not alone. Oh my God, it makes me want to cry. But I'm getting more done than I ever have before, and there is hope at the end of the tunnel now, and I will bring you guys along the journey with me while I figure out how to live as a person with an autistic brain, and how to relish that and find the good things and be honest about the bad, and how to organize my life in a way that actually works. And if it helps you guys, awesome. I'm never going to give people a formula or a course or a webinar, but as I figure it out, I hope to help other people and inspire them. I cannot wait to get into Russell Barkley's work with ADHD here on YouTube, because I think it's going to help so many people. And his whole thing about everything feeling like an emergency with an ADHD brain, like, no one has ever described what it feels like more than Russell Barkley. I want to get into all of this stuff going forward. But today we are talking about my spiritual psychosis story, my understanding of lucky girl syndrome. It's something that's very viral on TikTok right now. I have been in some major publications about it, about what I say about lucky girl syndrome, because I think it's very toxic. But I'll show you guys a couple TikToks explaining lucky girl syndrome.
Lucky girl syndrome. Everyone's talking about it, but no one's teaching you how to do it, so listen up. A couple years ago, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't like where I was living. I was dating someone who wasn't making me happy. Basically, my life was in complete shambles. I was so tired of being broke all the time. I was tired of not feeling fulfillment in my work. I was tired of not liking my apartment, even though my apartment was really cheap, and that's what had kept me there for so long. One day I got the courage and I was like, you know what, even though I'm not paying a lot in my apartment, I have to take a financial hit and move and just find a way to create a new life for myself. And I also knew that I was gonna have to change my attitude, because I was someone who was very, woe is me, everything bad always happens to me, because I honestly did feel like everything bad did happen to me, but you can't look at life that way, and I knew I had to change. So I started doing research. I knew that there were lots of successful people out there, and I decided I was gonna figure out how they did what they did. I read financial books, I read self-development books, I read books about therapy, and all these books seem to have one thing in common. Every single one of them stressed the importance of your daily mindset. And I'm not talking about when you're just thinking about it. It's during those little in-between moments. When you're driving your car, when you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Where does your mind go? And thus, what energy are you producing? The reason that people do meditations, affirmations, morning routines, journaling practices is because they are working on cultivating a new mindset and thus radiating out a different energy. This is where lucky girl syndrome comes in. If you revert back to the mantra of, I'm so lucky, everything is always happening for me, and that really gets a feeling of luck and excitement going within you, that changes your frequency right there. And if you can keep coming back to that throughout the day, it will totally magnetize different things into your life. I manifested my dream apartment, over 100,000 followers on TikTok, a new friend group of like 6 girls who all roller skate. I built a clothing store that did over $10,000 in sales in the first month. From there, I went on to build my mindset coaching business, and now I can work on my own hours. I can travel when I want. I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. This all happened very quickly, and I struggled all throughout my 20s. I wrote a workbook with the journaling prompts that I use to rewire my subconscious brain so that I could step into this new lucky version of myself. So if you want to download that, it's available at the... It all starts with stepping into a new belief system. You'll surprise yourself. Just watch.
Trend is so toxic, we need to talk about it. Lucky girl syndrome. Lucky girl syndrome is basically just the law of attraction, law of assumption, saying affirmations. I did this stuff for over a decade before anybody's like, you don't get it. You don't get it. Yes, I do. It almost killed me. I really do get it. Lucky girl syndrome is just saying, I'm so lucky, things are working out for me. Now let me tell you why this is such a problem. The law of attraction is a huge scam. Neville Goddard, if I could punch him in the mouth, I would, okay? This is New Age spirituality. This is not how the universe works. This is not how physics works. We've been able to disprove this stuff for a very, very long time. This is not how the brain works. This is literally... This is ableism. This is ableism. If you're going to tell people with mental and physical disabilities that absolutely cannot be changed by the power of thought, that you just have to think positive, or people who've lived in systemic oppression, people who've lived in systemic racism. New Age spirituality has such racist roots, it would put an actual chill in your bones. It better put a chill in your bones. And for white women, we better learn the history of this and stop perpetuating it. Let's use children as an example, okay? Because when it comes to children, people actually think about this stuff. When it comes to adults, people have zero compassion, okay? But when it comes to children, it's like, oh, okay. If a child, let's say, has a terminal illness, like cancer or something, is there any way that that child could think enough positive thoughts to get out of that situation? Do you really believe that a child just wasn't thinking positively enough, wasn't aligned to the right vibration? Or let's take it a step further. Do you think that their parents weren't thinking positively enough, and that if they had these things are always working out for me, that their child would not have gotten sick? Thinking positive, having hope for the future, believing that things will work out in your favor, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. But when we take it too far into toxic spirituality, you hurt people, you abuse people, and you ruin their faith. You ruin their faith in whatever they might have faith in. New Age spirituality is narcissistic abuse from the nebulous universe, and we need to stop pretending like it's not, because we are making promises for the universe that it cannot keep. I am done with this trend. We have to do better. This is ableism. And I'm sure other people have like a different understanding of this. If this is not your understanding, I'm not saying I'm an authority in this matter, but how I understood Lucky Girl Syndrome and how I practiced it was really under the guise of Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks. Abraham Hicks is the channeled entities that speak through Esther, supposedly, but I think it's all a scam underneath. Again, I'm a very spiritual person. I want to preface that, but Esther Hicks is one of the best scam artists on the planet. I mean, it's kind of incredible, but once you see it from a different angle, you can't unsee the grift, and it all starts to really fall apart, and there is so much deconstructing and coming out of these cults, because it is a cult. And if you're new here, I promise to provide a lot of content to help people come out of this, even in this series. Like, I don't want people to feel depressed. There is so much to be excited about. I think it's really encouraging that New Age spirituality isn't true, because it's just like religion, where it's like so dogmatic and it ruins your faith in, like, there's something out there. There's a reason that we exist. There's a reason that we can have babies. There's love. Like, I also really don't like this fireplace, but sorry, it makes me feel, I don't like it. I shouldn't have pointed it out, but I just couldn't find another one. And if I didn't start, speaking of fireplaces, I got this mini one. How cute is this? Sorry, ADHD moment. I'm going to get to the point so fast in this video. Impossible. Look at this. I got a mini fireplace to go. This is Sunny's fireplace. Sunny is my cat. It's a mini. It has a cackling sound. I'm like, don't worry, guys. This is going to be a real quick tutorial on, no, I am going to make shorter videos, though, about Lucky Girl Syndrome and the science and stuff this week. Like, I will make a short, condensed video for you guys. I promise. For the people who don't want to listen to me babble, and I will start doing the chapters and stuff. I promise. Anytime I talk about a subject, I will also make a condensed version for people who just want something quick and just want the facts. Okay, I promise. So that'll be coming out like very soon. I'm gonna give the mic to all of a sudden I was like, okay, I gotta give so you can hear the cackle. I'll put it in my Amazon storefront so that you guys can get one if you want. At first, I thought it was a terrible purchase. Now I love it. I fell asleep to it the other day. I'm going to have a whole mini section. Look at that. A fireplace to my fireplace. If you're new here, I love doing product reviews, like, in a weird way. Like a 2-finger. Anyways. We'll turn that off. Okay, if you want to use me as a body double, please do. Throw in some headphones, download this. I think you can download things on YouTube even if you don't have like YouTube Premium, right? I think you can. Download this to your phone, then you can delete it after and go on a walk. If you can, no pressure. You could also do your dishes, clean your room, draw, lay down, close your eyes. Like, I want my content to help people feel more regulated. I want it to make people feel seen and heard and all the things and comfortable and all that. I want to be a comfort creator, but I also want to help people get unaddicted to TikTok and help people get stuff done and not do a bunch of crazy editing and just make it like nice to listen to. And I do want to include some clips and stuff. And I'm going to make short videos that are super edited and fun. But I'm just going to have a ton of long form content that you can like go engage in the world to. Go ride a bike. Go to the gym. Like, I love listening to, when I really would get into long form content, it's been a dream of, like, it helped me so much. And it's been a dream of mine my entire life to be that person. Like, I have always wanted to be the person that people like put on YouTube and they're like, okay, Allie, like, I know Allie gets it. Like, I know Allie, I'm gonna cry. Like, I know that Allie would never judge me. Like, I've always wanted to be that person. And like, if I can make people feel like I felt when I found like Sarah Hendricks or Russ, like, I know I'm not as like educated as those people, but I'm just saying, like, I just want people. Damn, I started crying hard. Shoot, boys. Yeah, because I love y'all. I really do. And like, you guys make me feel like that person. Like, I know I already am that person to a lot of people, and it's something that I really have to like realize, because it's amazing. And you guys have made me feel like that person, and I want to become that person even more, because I'm a really like hard person on TikTok, and I've needed to like let that side of myself out, but I just want my YouTube channel to be like this thing that makes people like feel like they can keep going, and that they've never been weird, and that you've never been alone, and that like I've just been so tortured for so many years, and I was so fucking alone, and it's so amazing that because of TikTok, as messed up as that app is, that like finally I get to tell my story. And I thought that maybe this would really never happen. So thank you for being here, and I hope that I can be this person for as many people as possible. And the fact that I already am for some of you is like the greatest honor I've ever had, and it makes me feel like all my pain was worth it. And all of the pain now is a joke compared. That's why this Reddit's like, bitch, I have been through so much. Please. You guys cannot break me. Okay? And that bitch was not directed at anyone. I don't like that word. I'm just saying it as like a like all this drama with Roxy, like, yeah, it hurts, but like I've pulled out all my hair in psychosis. I've been bald, like staring at myself, not knowing what dimension I was in. Like, I'm okay with some TikTok drama. That's true. I want people to not feel weird, because I felt so fucking horrible for so long. And we live in this day and age where, like, I hate the day and age we live in, but I also love it, and I'm also growing to really be so fucking grateful that I can sit here in my bedroom and talk to you guys. As a disabled person, I get to build something. That's why it's even more fucked up that these people want me deplatformed right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will make a video covering all of that drama soon. I just can't right now. Where was I? I don't even know. But we live in this day and age where we can all actually connect with each other, even if it is in a parasocial way. And because of you guys, and because of the people on TikTok, and even though it's so toxic in some ways, it has saved my life. And I have to like give that to other people. And like, my grandmother was so autistic, and so is my dad, her son, and so am I. And I mean, my poor grandmother died like sitting in her own piss, still hyperfixating on something like drunk as fuck. And she was miserable, and like, and she was almost 90, by the way, and like lived through cancer and lived through a lot of stuff. So I'm sick of this narrative that autistic people, like, I don't know. I think that a lot of us are really fucking people in general are strong. And I don't look at anyone as weak, no matter what happens to them, because if someone's going through something that other people view as weak, like, there's a fucking reason. I'm just saying, like, that woman lived through so much, and it gives me hope. But she died miserable, and now it's so clear that it was just autism and complex PTSD. And we live in a day and age, like, I'm 34, and is it torturous that I didn't know till now? Yes. Has everything fine? Like, I still question myself all the time. That's why I need to watch Sarah Hendricks again, because that convinced me that I was autistic. I am getting way off track. All I'm saying is, I'm 34 years old, and like, I could have never found out. and I can help other people with their kids, and I can help people who are younger than me, I can help people who are older than me, that makes me cry even more. Like, if you are older than me, please feel welcome here. Like, I don't ever want people to feel like I'm trying to, man, today I'm just crying a lot. But I mean it. Like, if you are older than me, I want you to feel like you have a friend in me, and that I'm never trying to teach people stuff, but I just want people, I just can't imagine being even like 20 or 30 or 40 years older than I am and finding out. And feeling so fucking lied to, and feeling like I'm 34 and I feel like my life, I just wanted to say that, like, if you are 40s, 50s, 60s, any age, I am so happy that you're here. And I feel honored to have you. And you are fucking amazing for making it through what you have. And I mean that. It seriously like warms my heart to think about people who are older than me finding me, and maybe I can help. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can help it all make sense. That's already happened to me. That's why I'm crying. I've already gotten a lot of messages and emails, and thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. Get to your dang story. Now I need to put on a wig, probs. Okay, she feels better. Yeah, I feel better. Anyways, if you didn't know, my one goal in life is to get Joe Dispenza to sue me. Okay, for the love of God. I'm genuinely so confused. I'm editing this, and I have no idea where the rest of that footage is with the wig on. No clue. It just cuts to the next day. Like, is that all the wig footage I have? I know I made a whole... It's lost forever, boys. At least we got that little Joe cameo. I found the law of attraction when I was 17. That was the first time I ever heard about it. I also grew up in a religious cult. That's really important. That's really important. Because that kind of thinking is the same exact thing. It's like, oh, here we have this amazing gift for you that absolves you of all your pain, and if you act perfectly, like, not only do you get everything in this life, but you get eternal life. And that's exactly what the law of attraction preaches too. Just that, but it's even more dogmatic. It's like even more rooted in capitalism. It's even more about money than the church. That's crazy. The pipeline, and I'll get into this in other videos, but the pipeline from like religion to new age spirituality to the alt-right to the far alt-right, like QAnon, which what QAnon actually is, at least according to a great podcast called The Love and Light Confessionals, they kind of do similar work to me, but they've been doing this a lot longer. I used to recommend conspirituality, but the Love and Light podcast has a great episode on why I'm not recommending conspirituality anymore, and I already had a little bit of weird feelings about conspirituality in some ways, so it kind of like affirmed what I was already kind of feeling, but they had like some really great information as well. Obviously, they're talking about toxicity in New Age, and a lot of them have a lot of experience in a lot of different ways, but it is 3 white men in their middle, like in their 40s, that are all really kind of famous and wealthy and already have kind of made it. And it's kind of like pompous, to say the least. And a lot of people that I recommended it, they were like, I like it, but I think I was just so obsessed with the information, but I did feel like that. But they were like, it's kind of arrogant. And It's true. It is. So I don't really recommend, and that's just the beginning. I've actually spoken to people that know them. Like, I had some people message me when I had some videos kind of go viral about conspirituality, like someone who actually worked with one of them, and I definitely never want to recommend that. So please don't support conspirituality. Sorry, not sorry, but I've had enough direct interaction, and after checking out the Love and Light confessionals, I can confidently say don't listen to that. But I will plug Love and Light Confessionals podcast. That is a really great podcast. I've only listened to like 3 or 4 episodes, but there is an episode about QAnon that was extremely enlightening. So please check that out if you want. But the pipeline from hardcore Christianity, or like someone like Alex Serves T, who grew up in Jehovah's Witness or Seventh-day Adventist, a lot of these not cult-ish, they are cults, but Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness, what I grew up in, which was the International Churches of Christ, run by Kip McKean. We'll get into my whole story about growing up in a cult at some point here soon, but that's a very normal pipeline, and it's a pipeline that I want everyone to be aware of, and that also includes the crunchy cult, right? And again, I want to say, I know that I'm missing a lot here. I don't want to act like an expert. I know there's a lot of points that I miss, and people are trying to point certain things out to me, and I am trying to listen, so I will continue to educate myself. But I just wanted to say, like, that's a very, very, like, popular pipeline, right? And I want people to be aware of it. Also, like I said, health and wellness, like the crunchy cult to alt-right pipeline, is very alive and well more than ever, and it's very insidious, and it catches you. Like, you can start to care about like natural shampoos and end up in QAnon spaces. Like, truly, just be aware that you might be getting indoctrinated into something like that, and get to know the warning signs, and get to know like what is this pipeline. And it encompasses so many different things, and I know I miss a lot, so please bear with me as I do my best through this. So I did grow up in this cult called the International Churches of Christ, and I got out when I was 19 or 20. I was definitely 20. When I was 21, I was definitely out. I know that. But I left when I was 19 or 20. And then I had already heard about the law of attraction, right? I heard about it in high school. And I already had really bad OCD back then, like really bad. And now I know that it's like autism and a bunch of other stuff, and it's religious trauma. It's the fear of hell. I grew up with a horrible fear of hell, and then that transferred into like fear of my thoughts, fear of the universe, even though I thought the universe loved me too. It was, I was so scared of my own thoughts creating my reality. I experienced horrendous OCD from the time I was so little, and it was a really bad religious OCD. So bad. When I think about being tiny and I realized that things die, and I realized the concept of hell, that was like one of the first times that I truly disassociated from my body. And this is like a story that I tell, or used to tell, in therapy all the time. I was like, and I didn't understand the word disassociated. Like, why didn't any therapist just say that to me? All the terms that we use now, I really needed to know a few years ago. Like maladaptive daydreaming, depersonalization, disassociation. Are you kidding me? Autism. I mean, holy shit, autism. What ADHD actually is, complex PTSD. Like, I had no words for this stuff. And so many people still have no words. And I had horrible, like, oppositional defiant disorder type symptoms, or I believe it's PDA autism. Like, PDA autism explains my life more than just anything. Literally, like pathological demand avoidance. There's another way to explain it and I forget. But seriously, like, when I read my first book on PDA, I never felt more understood, and it's The PDA Paradox by Harry Thompson. It's in my Amazon storefront. I need to link that in my description. And he's on TikTok, he's on YouTube. Harry Thompson. I'll put a little clip of him in here. But he's helped me a ton. But it really showed up as a child. And so I developed this really deep panic that has never gone away. And autistic people just have very anxious brains anyways. We deal with just high levels of anxiety. Sorry, I put a bunch of oil on and my legs, I have shorts on. I was going to say I don't have pants on. I definitely do have pants on, but they're just in the form of shorts. I'm just talking to y'all pantsless, honestly. I don't have time. That would happen, but I put this oil on my legs and my legs keep like slipping off and I feel really uncomfortable and I need like something to put my legs on. Hold on. I have just grown up with bone crushing existential dread since I was very, very, very tiny. And we can get into that in another video, but I feel like it's important to get into in this video because it's so relevant. I feel like I've almost been in a state of spiritual psychosis since I was tiny. Like, I was born into a religious cult. How could I have not been in a little bit of a psychosis since I was tiny? And just now getting out of it in the last couple years. How could I not? I was literally born into psychosis. I was born into an obsession with doing everything perfect. I seriously need to come up with a new term for spiritual psychosis because that's an actual thing, like when someone is in a state of actual spiritual psychosis. But what I'm talking about is more just a spiritual delusion that goes on for years, or what, I don't know what you can call that with religion and other things, but it does lead to actual states of psychosis that we will talk about. But I feel like, yeah, I just need to be careful with the way I'm using the word psychosis. So having to think about my afterlife every single day, that absolutely plays into this. It's a really big deal, and I went through major trauma as a child that was non-religious as well. That really scared me, that really fucked me up, that really like made me just terrified to be alive. I went through like this really big apartment fire. I went through SA as a child. Sorry, I forget I don't have to abbreviate things on TikTok, and I don't want to make people upset, but I want people to feel understood and seen. But I just had some really bad trauma as a child. And then on top of it, I grew up in this cult and hell and the afterlife and death and dying and religion and this whole thing, just like existentialism essentially became my special interest in first grade. Like, I'm not kidding. I remember just being so deep and dark and morbid and so deep in thought at such a young age. And I will get into what I think all of that is about, but I think it's being born in an autistic brain and, you know, all of that. Mainly, I think it's being born in an autistic brain. You're just so sensitive and so aware and so, like, they call it the intense world theory. You know, this guy describes it as like living in Times Square 24/7. And when you add like religious pressure and trauma and death and hell and burning fire in hell, which hell is not even biblical. We need to freaking talk about that. Like the fiery eternal flame hell, that was never in the Bible. The Greeks twisted that to control us, of course. It was not that. It's a place outside of Jerusalem. It's a physical place. Like, it's a metaphor. Like, you can create hell on earth. It's not some place that you go after you die. And I don't even believe in that now. But like, if that's what the Bible actually said, are you kidding me? I need a refund on my whole life. Like, what? I still am convinced I'm going to some fiery inferno, and it's crazy, and you aren't, and I'm not. If you want to go by what the Bible actually said, the early Christian church, that's been my dad's autistic special interest for the last 25 years. He'll tell you. He'll tell you what's up, and it's that there is no hell, and that he believes in universal salvation, essentially. He's not a universalist. Like, he doesn't go to their church or something, but he believes that that's what the early texts actually say. before they messed everything up and tried to scare us and control us. So if that's what the Bible actually says, which I don't believe in the Bible, but if I did, I needed to know that, number one. And Jesus is way more awesome if that's true. That's crazy. And that no one dies, and that it's like this whole eternal thing. That makes way more sense. That's also like what a lot of people who have died and come back say. But hell is not biblical, and I needed to know that. I got out of that religious cult when I was like 19 or 20. I lost my mind. I was also undiagnosed autistic, ADHD, complex PTSD, and I had a brain injury that I had just acquired a few years prior. I think it happened when I was in karate. I joined karate as an elective at this little charter school I went to, and it was all to impress a man that was in the cult I was in as well. And he ended up giving me a brain injury. He actually gave me like 3 different concussions. So glad about that. Back this up a little bit. I lived a very big double life when I was in high school, and it really traumatized me. And that's when I found out about The Secret. And so this isn't going to make sense unless I explain that. But I was like hardcore in my cult, right? And I knew nothing else. And then I decided to go to public school. And that's a long story, but I switched from like this tiny, tiny charter school with a bunch of people from my cult, and I switched to a big regular high school. And it traumatized me in so many ways. And I'll tell that in a different video, but like, it like split me in two. That's when my maladaptive daydreaming got so bad. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to have friends, but I did have friends, but I kept them at a distance. And I even dated some guys, and I even drank in high school a couple times, like at the very end, and I smoked cigarettes. And like the guilt that I felt being in this cult, and like there were years and years and years that I couldn't tell anyone this, and it's fascinating to me. And I always thought the cult was what was wrong with me. Like I thought that everything that was I know is autism now, and there's nothing wrong with me because I'm autistic. It's just a different brain. Literally, I'm very proud to be autistic, but it's very hard, but I'm very proud. And now I really love my brain. But in some ways it's absolute torture. But we get what we get. But living this double life in high school and kind of like being in a cult, but also trying to be a normal teenager during the day, is that I felt so weird. And I always thought it was the cult that messed me up so bad. I always thought it was like the double life from the cult. And yes, that was so traumatizing, and all the fear of hell and stuff. But it really was that I was autistic. I was autistic and also dealing with all this social pressure, and also dealing with being at this big high school and trying to be really popular, and like feeling like I had to save everyone's soul at the same time. Like I just walked around with crushing guilt, like just the craziest crushing guilt, like the same kind of guilt that you feel when you feel like you have to tell everyone about the law of attraction. You know, like you see someone who's sick, and like I used to give everyone who got sick law of attraction books. I've given a dying woman law of attraction books and like veganism books, and I could scream. And oh my god, I gave this woman a book about only eating vegetables, and oh my god. Anyways, it's like it was like the same thing. Like it's evangelicalism, and I was supposed to be saving everyone, but I really wanted to like have a normal life, and I wanted to be a normal teenager. And the pressure just about broke me. And it did break me. After high school, I absolutely fell apart. Like, I fucking fell apart. And I held it together for a little while. I was still in the cult. And then I went out to Florida and I lost it. And I had such a hard time. And then I came back here, and when did I get into the law of attraction again? Oh, yeah, I remember. I came back here. I started drinking really heavily. I moved to Boulder. I started kind of dabbling in different stuff. I got Adderall for the first time. After I left the cult, I literally sat on a couch in Boulder for like 6 months and just got like wasted. And I had a job, but it was so bad. And I was just drunk all the time. I think I was 19. I'll check the dates for sure. And I would just ask people, like, what's the point of life? Like, why do you get up in the morning and why? And now I know it was like, again, a lot of just like not understanding my brain. But at the time, I thought it was just the church. And I think the church did just completely fuck my brain up. It was a real cult. And like my parents left 4 years before I did. And that's such a whole long story that I'll tell a different day. I'll do a whole series about the cult I grew up in. But again, it's called the International Churches of Christ by Kip McKean. If you look it up, it's the ICOC. It's a split off from the main Churches of Christ. I know there's people who are going to be like, she's lying. You can look up somebody named Doug Arthur. Also, this is for you, both of you, if you're still out there, Doug Arthur and Kip McKean. Sorry, not sorry. Ooh, also, Marty Fuqua. Whoa. Big one, a straight one right up your duke. I don't know what a duke is, but I would assume an asshole. Anyways, I'm trying not to cuss as much in my videos. Anyways, yeah. I used to pray for God. I remember when I realized this, I used to pray for God to not make me feel weird. I used to be like, please let me not act and feel weird today, God. Like, I just needed somebody to tell me I was autistic. And it never worked, right? Like, I always did something socially awkward. I always felt socially weird. I never felt a part of things. It's weird because I was weirdly kind of popular in high school. I've always somehow become weirdly kind of popular. And I don't say that to become arrogant. It's like, or to be arrogant. It's strange to me. When I look back on my life, I've always had these opportunities to be popular, and I've always been invited to popular circles, and then I self-destruct. Always, even up to TikTok. It's so weird. It's like a pattern. And I've never really been bullied. I kept to myself too much to be. I like wouldn't show up for high school at all. I was so anxious. So it's hard. Like, it's almost kind of like, yeah, it's interesting to think about. But I've never really been bullied until Roxy. I've always felt weird. I've always struggled. I've always had a horrible time with relationships. I've always not been able to find friends or keep friends. And I've been bullied by friends in ways that I didn't realize till now. But I've never just been like straight, like bullied by a group of people until now. It's a crazy experience to go through at 34. And I'm going to do a video here soon just talking to Roxy because this whole thing is crazy. If you don't know, I'm going through a crazy amount of bullying and weird stuff on TikTok with this woman and a group of women who wants to shut me up about talking about this stuff. But I always prayed for God to like make me feel not weird and for him to make me not feel awkward in conversations and that I could like have eye contact. I wonder if I can find those journals. And I remember when I was like coming to with like all this autism stuff and realizing and unmasking and whatever, I remember being like, oh my God, like just sobbing. Like I used to pray every day that God would make me feel like I wasn't weird and like I could assimilate with everyone else. Like I used to beg for that shit. It was so intense. And then you have like cult dynamics, which I know so many of you guys can relate to this. High school is hard enough. And then I was in a cult and I was living a double life and I was kind of a little bit popular in high school, but I couldn't handle it. Like it was weird. It was weird, honestly. But I was popular, but I wasn't, and I would never show up and no one knew what to think of me. And it was like this whole thing. And I'm sure if people from high school see me now, they're like, oh my God. But it all makes so much sense. It all makes so much sense. High school was the like scariest, worst, most intense time of my life. I mean, my whole life has been that. I'm 34, like I've said a billion times, and it's only been the last 6 months that I've even started to feel like I might be able to live here on the planet. Like I have been through the actual ringer in terms of everything. I've just lived in pure torture. And I know so many of you guys have too. So, but I'm also here to show you that it can get better. It can absolutely get better. I'm sorry I went on a little detour, but I feel like those are all like important things to know. So I lived this kind of double life. And yeah, I like even kissed boys in high school and stuff, and I was not supposed to do that. And the amount of turmoil and grief and all of that stuff, and I thought I was going to hell. Like, I literally went to my baptism and I had never told someone that I had masturbated. Like, I was about to explode from autistic anxiety and guilt and grief. I started masturbating when I was so young. Like a lot of people. And it ate me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I have lived on guilt. Just pure, absolute fucking guilt. It's crazy to realize this now. My poor little brain. Everything that was so normal. Just liking boys. Like, I got baptized when I was 16, and our baptism stuff was so intense. And yeah, I mean, I've basically been in a state of spiritual psychosis since I was born. That's fucking crazy to realize. But I remember going to my baptism, and it's like such a big deal, and it's like this 2-year long process, and if you don't do it when you're a teenager, you get ostracized from the cult, and you have to like go through these crazy rituals, and eventually you go up in front of thousands of people and get baptized, and it's like this big commitment. And I was doing it with this on the same day that I was in love with this kid that gave me the karate chop to the head with. Okay, so I just went to double check. I got baptized at 13. I was even younger. I was only 13 years old. This is Kip McKean. This is the leader of our cult. Doesn't he look like a cult leader? He's still doing the same thing out in Oregon or something. But I got baptized at 13 years old. He gave me a ridge hand to the head, excuse me. I was in love with the kid who gave me in my karate class, like the elective class. He gave me the ridge hand to the head. I was in love with him. We were getting baptized on the same day. Hey Matt, what's up? Maybe you'll find my YouTube sometime. I still have dreams about him a lot. He got so abused by this cult as well. I really wonder where he is. Remember that day, it's such a big deal, and I had never told someone I had masturbated. And I didn't put it in my sin list, which is like the thing they do at the end. When they try to break you, they took me in this basement and they put fake blood and paint all over the floor and did this crazy ritual where they like literally break you and you're like a teenager. It's so to my baptism day and in front of thousands of people, and I remember standing there before I walked in, and it was so intense, and they were about to sing this song called Men Who Dream, which they always do after people get baptized, and God, I can even smell the room. I have to sit like this right now. My legs are killing me. But basically, I walked into my baptism day, and now when I think about it, I was totally, like, this is all spiritual delusion. It's all spiritual trauma. It's all just so horrible. And I made this pact with myself, and I was convinced I was going to die, but I was so scared, like, my poor anxiety. And I was like, okay, I can never tell anyone. I can never tell anyone that I masturbated. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I was like, I'm going to wait like 10 years and then I'll confess it. Like I'll just wait a few years and then I'll confess it. Like my logic didn't even make sense, but I like couldn't do it right then because I was so scared. And then I was like, okay, but if you die, you're gonna go to hell, and now you're getting baptized under false pretenses. Like, it literally was so horrible. I had so much shame about masturbating, and it's so sad. Like, I literally remember one Christmas where I just sat in the bathroom and cried because I knew I was going to hell, and I had been, toot scootin', not toot scootin', I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but doing some, actually, rubbing up on some stuff because I was younger, and I like literally had this cutout of of 98 degrees. How I had a life-size fucking cutout of Nick Lachey and all of the B-boys from 98 degrees. Sorry, they're not B-boys. I don't know why I said that. You know what I mean? I had a whole life-size cutout, and I wasn't supposed... How are things not supposed to get romantic? And I literally remember sitting in my bathroom all Christmas and just being like, you are going to hell. You are and I was like 9. Good God. This is the same thing as Alex telling people, like, yeah, just raise your vibration. Like, you don't want to, oh my God. Like, everything natural in the world, religion and spirituality, it's like, yeah, you can't have that. Oh my God. That last point didn't really make sense, but you know what I was saying. Like, a 9-year-old, it's totally natural. And I was like, well, boys, might as well rub one last out, because might as well do one lasty, because she's going to HE double hockey sticks and it's all a cardboard cutout's fault of Nick Lachey. If I went to hell because of Nick Lachey, I swear to God, not the best time to use that phrase. Justin Timberlake, look at you two. Look at me. We all got a little chunky, didn't we? I'll be in hell with both y'all then. No, I'm just kidding. They're like, is she ever going to tell her spiritual psychosis story? This is it. This is it. And by they, I mean the voices in my head were just berating me. It's probably just Roxy and AMW now. Now I have AMW's stupid fucking song stuck in my head. Like, there's no way. And it's not good. I don't want you to get a big head about it. It's not the worst thing in the world. That music video, on the other hand, please cut the tape. I wouldn't call it a music video. That's Cut. Don't give them any of your fucking time. Juby, how are you? You're creeping me out. I'm sorry. These are all my stalkers. I'm sorry. But I know you guys are watching these videos. Sorry, not sorry. This is absolutely part of my spiritual psychosis story. Are you kidding me? I had a group of women. Oh, yeah. No wonder this is also triggering to me. I have so much trauma around women in the cult I grew up in. Like, no joke. So much trauma, actually. Wow. I'll have to tell those stories someday. Like, they locked me in a fucking basement and, like, took pictures of Jesus and stabbed him in front of me when I was, like, 12 or 13. Told me it was my fault that Jesus was on a cross. Made me write out a sin list at, like, 12 years old to break me. They're like, write out all your sins. I'm like, I'm fucking 12. I had to, like, make some shit up. I'm like, I'm not telling you what I actually do, which is maladaptive daydream to Enya in my bathroom and, like, hump random shit. Which, what 13-year-old isn't doing that? They told me that if I ever heard romantic songs on the radio, I was supposed to only listen to Jesus music or whatever. But they told me, I remember in one Bible study, they used to come over for Bible studies and I would have fucking panic attacks. Yeah, bro, I was in spiritual psychosis this whole time. This one lady, Kathy Thompson. Yeah, fuck you, Kathy Thompson. That's right, I said your name. I remember one time we were doing a Bible study in my room. This is all leading up to getting baptized. And it's like this whole long process, even though you've grown up in the church. It's absolutely horrendous and stupid and ridiculous. And if you don't do it, you literally get ostracized. And it literally caused people to kill themselves. It was so crazy. It caused so much shame. But I remember her telling me, like, if you hear any romantic songs on the radio, like, you have to turn every romantic song into a song about God. Like, God, get in my Range Rover and pull my hair. Like, I remember driving, cut that out, please. Like, literally any romance song it was like a whole talk about it. It was like, this is how you keep your heart pure for when you're gonna marry God. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm just listening to like Mandy Moore and shit when you guys aren't looking. It was like, I'm not supposed to be listening to that. But she was like, but yeah, you're only supposed to like listen to Jesus music. But my parents would let us listen to some, you know, like Mandy Moore and like Enya and stuff. And she was not having it. She was not having it. This church was like so strict in some ways, but my parents weren't like absolutely horrible. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of TV, but there was some stuff I could watch. I don't know. It's kind of confused. Like, no wonder I felt so confused my whole life. Like, I was in this crazy strict cult and also living in the real world. Like, I really wish I had grown up on a commune. It would have been a lot less confusing. Like, when you're trying to assimilate to the real world, but you're like in this crazy cult that like you can't actually live in the real world, it's so hard. It's made me feel really bad my whole life. And my maladaptive daydreaming was so bad. But yeah, Kathy T, like, it was like I wasn't allowed to have my normal teenage desires or wants or anything. And I remember like one time I was driving to school and like my car was like breaking down. I had this really like beat up old car, and my car was breaking down, and I was maladaptive daydreaming about that guy, Matt, and I was like picturing us like humping or something. And like I already was going to hell for that, and my car broke down and I said the B word, and I don't know like what happened, if I like almost got like sideswiped or something. Like, I was going out of this like intersection from our house to go to high school, and I don't know if I almost got hit or like something happened where it was like my life flashed before my eyes, and I I can remember it. Like, it's so crazy to actually have words for it now. To actually have words for all of this trauma, because I lived, like, I went through this, like, oh my God, I had such a horrible kind of depersonalization thing happen after that. Because I was like, if I had died, I would have gone to hell. And it fucked me up so bad. I went to school, and the rest of the day I just shook and panicked. And the way I could, damn, dude, it's actually so sad. Like, I went into intense. And that's when my food addiction stuff started. Like, my brain was already in that seeking mode. But, like, that's when my food stuff really started, was in high school. Like, I started to use food to comfort. I remember that, like, that first specific day, like it was yesterday. And, like, the amount, like, that kind of pressure, right? Like, and I was living a double life, kind of. Like, I felt so, and I was autistic and had no idea why everything felt so goddamn intense. That's so sad. I seriously was like, I can't believe I was thinking about Matt like that, and I can't believe that a cuss word can just pop in my head, and that will send me into a fiery, burning inferno of pain and flames, and I'm doomed for eternal hell. Like, I was in high school. It's so sad, but this is my spiritual psychosis story. My younger years were actually so much a part of it, and I guess in the next video we'll get into new age spirituality. I'm sorry, everyone's gonna hate me, but whatever. This is my channel. If you don't like how things are going here, please leave. My camera's on low battery right now, and tomorrow I'll just get up and film the rest of it in the next part. But we'll get into the new age spirituality. But this is such a perfect pipeline, and with someone who has OCD, with someone who is autistic, like, I've just been stuck in existential dread. I always believed I was gonna die young. Even, like, I wrote about that in high school. And that's a very common thing with people who have complex PTSD or grow up in really stressful situations, like a cult. I can't believe that I'm just now realizing that I've actually grew up in spiritual psychosis. I mean, everything that I did was through a lens of saving the world, was wanting to be saved, was needing to be saved, was perfectionism, was the fear of hell, was dogma, was there's this ultimate enlightenment to get to, or like this idea that like whatever's happening in your life is a reflection of how spiritual you are. And it fucking wrecked me, and it warped my brain, and it gave me complex PTSD, which affects the brain like an injury. And I think it gives people very severe ADHD type symptoms. Like, yes, ADHD is a totally separate real thing, but it mimics like frontal lobe brain injury, which can happen from complex PTSD, from my understanding. Like, if you grew up in a really stressful religious situation, or just a stressful situation in general, even if your parents really loved you, but they were really struggled with money, and they didn't mean to neglect you, but they had to leave you at home alone a lot, or they were really stressed themselves, or they were sick, like, complex PTSD is so serious. And then a lot of people leave these situations finally, right? Like, I finally left this church I was in. I kind of woke up and realized and got out, and that was really, really, really hard. Again, for another video, like how I left the cult I grew up in. If my parents hadn't left, I would have never left. But that's so crazy to think about. Oh my God, the way that our lives could have turned out. The way my life could have turned out. Like, that's crazy. That's actually crazy to think about. But then after leaving that, when I got just so heavy into New Age spirituality, like not even 2 years after I left that cult, I picked up the law of attraction again. And what it was the success principles with Jack Canfield, and that'll be the next video, is how I left my religious cult. I won't get into the details of that, but we'll just go straight into, like, I just left that, and I moved back to Colorado, and I found my uncle. Actually, I was on a fuck ton of Adderall, and my uncle got me Jack Canfield, the success principles. And that's all about the law of attraction in business. And it's all about putting like a check on your ceiling. You know, it's all about visualization, and it's all about affirmations. And I was loaded on Adderall at the time. That was like, I think that was that the first time I was on Adderall? I think it was. One of my roommates at one point, when I had moved to Boulder after Florida, when I was in the cult, was like, you definitely have ADHD. And they gave me Adderall, and I went, oh my God, I went wild. I got a script. I got a script for Vyvanse and almost killed myself. I had no idea you couldn't like take a bunch of it. And I blacked out on Vyvanse for a good like 72 hours. I'm not kidding. I don't know how I'm alive. I have done such weird shit with substances to try to be a productive human in society. Like, my use of substances has always been because I'm so desperate to like feel like I can do stuff like other people. Like, this girl, like, I literally got some Vyvanse, and I thought that it was like Adderall. Like, I remember the first day I ever took Adderall, and like, I literally thought it was heaven on earth, and the clouds opened up, and it felt like everything my brain was missing, because I have such bad executive functioning issues, and I could like move my body, and like, that part of stimulants are just fucking unreal. I wish they didn't make me absolutely crazy. But and if stimulants do make you feel manic, that doesn't mean that you don't have ADHD. It just means that it's not the right medication for you, maybe. Or maybe they make you feel like productive and up, kind of, but that's good. Like, that's what you need. Like, some people need Adderall because it makes them move. Like, are you serious? Like, I would give anything to be able to take Adderall. I can't. I get batshit crazy every time. And I mean it, and it shocks me. I took 7 years off between the last times, and it took 2 months before I was just an absolute fiend. I am so addicted to being able to move. After a lifetime of feeling paralyzed in your body, anytime I get stimulants like that, like right now, you couldn't pay me to take one. It sounds so gross. It honestly sounds so gross. I don't even ever want the feeling again of being forced to move like that. And if Adderall works for you, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to like shit on it, but I just want to encourage people, like, there are other ways, there are other things you can do. It is really, really hard on your body. And some people thrive. You know, I would give anything to take 10 milligrams. I'm not anti-medicine at all, but I'm just very pro talking about it when it's not working for you and finding as many ways as we can to deal with it. But when I say that I would give anything to take 10 milligrams of Adderall a day and call it and just deal with the side effects, I would give anything. And that was my plan. But it didn't work out like that. I'm sure all my stalkers will use that information. Good, go for it. Anyways, I was rolling deep on a bunch of Adderall. My uncle got me this book. I had moved to Boulder. I was an absolute mess. And the Adderall did help me kind of like pull my life together a bit and stop drinking. And I think I went through I went through a Vyvanse phase at that time. I'll have to like think through all that. But I got The Success Principles by Jack Canfield, and I was 19 or 20, but I'm pretty sure I was 19. And it's all about the law of attraction and manifesting. And I bought this like sewing course, and I was like, I'm going to be the most famous seamstress in the world. And I would just get zipped and listen to law of attraction stuff. And I like sewed my own hand one time by accident because I was on so much Adderall. The stuff that I made when I was sewing on oh my god, it makes my body shake. Anyways, that was my introduction. And I was into it deeply until 2 years ago. Like, deeply. Like, it was my everything. Yeah, I have some experience with this. From that fateful day when I was 19 to now, I have been just enthralled with New Age spirituality, Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks, Alan Watts. I mean, Alan Watts isn't like the worst thing in the world, but you know what I mean. Just like this never-ending plethora, like Louise Hay, Bill, like Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Gaia TV, the Galactic Federation, being a shamanic practitioner, all this different stuff. I got deep into believing that I was, you know, a Lakota woman. I appropriated a bunch of cultures while I was in this group of people that I found in sobriety that pretend like they're Lakota people and do sweat lodges and practice all their traditions, and it's really inappropriate and it's not okay. And they do like all these white man sun dances and stuff, and I really apologize, and I will always, and when I start making money, I've always said that I will pay that back and do everything I can to help, especially the Lakota people, but any indigenous people that I can. And I am very sorry. But yes, I got deep into this. I was a shamanic practitioner for years. And I took money for it, and I'm always going to be honest about that. And I never actually really got into it because it didn't feel right. Like, something didn't feel right, and I knew that my life wasn't at a point where I could like take money for it. But okay, well, that doesn't make sense, but let me explain, because I've said this on TikTok before too. I was a shamanic practitioner for years, and I took money doing house clearings with this group of women, but in terms of working one-on-one with clients, I never took money for that. I was practicing on people, and I just never felt good about it. So the amount of money that I actually made as a shamanic practitioner was very small. I never opened my own practice. I just worked on a ton of people in Boulder and like my friends and family and all of that kind of stuff. And I did take money when we were doing house clearings. That's the only time I took money. I want to like clear that up, but I never opened my own practice officially. I mean, it's an MLM. Like, you meet one lady in Boulder, she's like, oh, let me do a healing session for you. And then during the healing session, she tells you you're a healer. And then it just moves on and on and on. And it was just these big groups of women out in Boulder who thought that they were shamans, and we all practiced on each other. And then after a few years of that, a small group of us made a little group of women that we tried to start a business. It didn't go on for very long, where we were like doing spirit clearings and house clearings and all this spirit work in like rich people's houses, and I literally probably made less. I don't even know if it was like $1,000, like over that amount of time. And I only took money, maybe less than that. I bet even $500. It was split between like 7 of us, and we only did, I don't know how many houses we did. And then there was like a falling out between the whole group. But yeah, I mean, it was just, but I never felt good about the women that were charging $300. Like, these women just started their own businesses, and I didn't feel healed enough. I didn't feel abundant enough, and I didn't know why I still felt so weird. So yeah, I never felt good about what they were charging. Yeah, it's really serious. And I really believed that it was science, and I really believed that Joe Dispenza was a doctor, and I really believed that this quantum physics that they talk about in the spiritual sense was real, and it's not, right? Like, but again, I don't want anyone to feel depressed or out of sorts, or, you know, I mean, you're going to feel out of sorts if you're just finding my videos and all of this is very new to you, but I want people to feel safe. And I want people to understand that I still believe in spirituality, and I believe that no one dies, and I believe that we're all connected, and I believe that your family members will be with you always. And I believe that, I even believe in like kind of like soul families and contract, like not contracts, but I just believe that there's something after this. And there's no way, like there's the people who have died are the people I'm going to listen to, right? And like, there are so many beautiful things here, and learning about your brain and how your brain interacts with the world, and learning about learning about just complex PTSD and how trauma works in general can give you compassion towards others. And you can learn how to be in the world, and you can learn how to protect yourself and not trust everything and not trust everyone, because we shouldn't. And the world, just like nature, is dangerous and chaotic and crazy and harsh. And I don't know why. And death and disease and pain and sickness and all of this stuff is very natural. Don't let these people convince you that you shouldn't feel bad. We all feel bad all the time. This is a struggle here. And I believe it's all leading to somewhere, but we don't get to bypass it, and we don't get to pretend like it doesn't exist, and we don't get to hurt people with fake science and grifting. And it's okay to embrace that it's really hard here, and I've found a lot more positivity in life when I'm not chasing it, and when I can appreciate small things, like eating a piece of pizza. Like, today could be the last day. I'm not going to sit here and try to go get... That scared me to even say that. I'm still so scared of my own thoughts. Oh my God. I'm just saying, like, oh my God, I really am scared of that. Oh my God. Like, see, this is what religious and spiritual trauma and psychosis does. I'm so scared that I said that now I'm going to go manifest something. I literally felt a surge go through my body. It was like, take that out, take that out, take that out. Like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to publish. It's Valentine's Day today, so you will see when I publish this. But seriously, like, what matters is this day. And for autistic people, I'm not saying just live in the present. No, that's also really hard. But I'm just saying, the more that you can relax, you don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to you don't need to like impress other people. You don't need to have a romantic partner. You don't need to have a family that, like, life is hard. And whatever you do have, love that shit. Nobody has it all. And the people who act like they have it all, it's an actual joke. And I've gotten close to a lot of people who act like they have it all, and they're full of shit. And no amount of accomplishments, no amount of money, no amount of accolades, no amount of material possessions is ever going to make you feel anything. And that's the biggest joke of it all. And that's why people lose their fucking minds when they get a lot of stuff. Or when they get the thing they thought they wanted the most. Or when they, like, I have 500,000 followers on TikTok. I thought that would, if you told me that, even now, if I hear about someone else, I'm like, damn. But myself, there's no gauge of it in my mind. I'm like, well, it's not 1 million. It's not a million. Like, I'm not making the content I want to make. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like, it's our brains are crazy. That's what I'm saying. Enjoy what you have today. Hug your kid if you have a kid. I don't want kids. But if you have one, you should hug them and be grateful for them and all the things, right? And I'm sure they're grateful for you and you're doing an amazing job. If you have kids, please give yourself the most compassion. Oh my God. All of us are doing the best we can. I just want people to take pressure off. Take it off. You can take it off. You are normal. You are not weird. And you are not going to die. That's what I believe. But while we're here, sorry, I just picked my nose like that. I was itching. I didn't really pick it. It was an itch. But I really don't believe, like, that gives me hope. And maybe that's bypassing in my mind. I don't know, but I've done a lot of research about death. We're going to talk about this a lot. Because not enough people talk about it and our fears about it and the science around it. And I think there's so much science around, even quantum entanglement, even though it doesn't prove the law of attraction. I think it shows, like, we don't control the cells of our body with our mind, but I think that we are all connected and there's no way that there's not a there if there's here. Like, there's another place that we go. And like I said, I've done so much near-death stuff, like research and talking to people who've actually passed and had like true out-of-body experiences, and there's just no way. There's no way that there's nothing after this. There's just no way. And there has to be some semblance of sense after all of this. And I believe that. I've seen it on psychedelics. I believe it. And I believe that death will be the best thing that ever happens to us. But while we're here, but I'm still scared of shit. And wow, we're getting way off topic, but maybe this is right on topic. Because this has been I've struggled so much with just living in the real world because of these topics, because of religious abuse. If I didn't grow up in a cult and become obsessed with death, I wouldn't be obsessed with death my whole life. That's spiritual psychosis too. The inability to just be in the world. I have not been able to live because I've been so afraid to die. And I've been so afraid of that I'm controlling everything, so I haven't lived. And like I said, when you really get into this thing about your thoughts creating your reality, or even deeper into the idea that nothing exists unless you're observing it, in my experience, you either become crazy paranoid, which is what I became, and you stop living and you isolate and you go into psychosis and you starve yourself and all these other things can happen, or you become very, very, very paranoid or arrogant, or like paranoid or arrogant. And I'm sure there's nuance and a lot of other things, but I'm just saying, like, those are the two main things I've seen. And you get like a quantum shifting or like an Alex Serves T, where you become so unbelievably arrogant and mean. And you really believe that you are the only person that matters. And you get really bad spiritual narcissism, which is a real term, but I need to figure out a new one, because we're not going to demonize narcissism anymore, and we're not going to call everybody narcissists. But spiritual narcissism is a real term. Please Google it. I'll put a little slide of it here at the end. But if you meet people who are treating you like this, or you're in some sort of group, or you're following someone on the internet, especially if you want to see examples of this, I'm not trying to be mean to these people, but Aquarian Music Witch, especially Alex Serves Tea, quantum shifting, stalgia. I don't know what's going on with stalgia. Those are examples of people who are caught in some sort of spiritual narcissism and they can't ever admit, or like Teal Swan. Teal Swan is the perfect example. If you want an expose, a literal docu-series on what a spiritual narcissist is, and dangerous online cults and new age spirituality, and it's really backwards, like outdated bullshit. And then my phone died, so I had to stop filming, and this video is already extremely long, so I'm not going to add any more to this, but please look into Teal Swan. It's the perfect example of what a true online new age cult is. and she's using outdated, horrendous healing practices that aren't healing at all. And she is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to come up with a new term for spiritual narcissism because it needs to be updated, but please Google it, learn to spot the signs, learn how to protect yourself. It says when you Google it that it's one of the most insidious forms of narcissistic abuse. And again, we're not using that term anymore either, but just to give you some reference. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. You guys have helped me through such a hard time. Everything that's happened in the last couple months, and these women that want to just destroy and degrade and bully me every single day, you all have kept me sane through this, especially the Roxy thing. Like, my heart is just still shattered and confused, but thank you for showing up for me every single day. I can never thank you all enough. I hope that this YouTube channel and these videos make you all feel so at home and seen. I love you. I'll see you soon.